Hey, what's up everyone, and well, I apologize once again for the delay, but here is the last of the recap videos of 2019. Enjoy. Alright, back for more again, and getting back into movies, that is. These are the ones that I think are the most underrated, most underappreciated, and ones that I think are badly overlooked. Or maybe not badly overlooked, but you know what I mean. Ones that should still be watched and are underrated, basically. So, yep. Top 10 most underrated movies of 2019, starting with number 10, The Kid Who Would Be King. Yeah, I'm sure you're probably thinking the same thing when you first saw the trailer for this movie, and I was certainly thinking the same thing. What, a kid version of King Arthur? And it seemed just more like a horrible spoof parody, you know, a kid who finds a sword and battles bad guys. I mean, what Mario Kart joke and everything like that. Cliche stuff like the bullies and all that. But surprisingly, it actually worked. Yeah, there were some pretty good fight scenes. Yeah, there were some questionable moments to it that I don't really have to get into detail with if you saw the movie, but the kid did surprisingly good. I mean, we've seen this before, you know, doesn't have a father, only lives with his mother, and gets bullied numerous times, and of course has to work things out with the bullies and fight the villains and everything like that. And for a 2-hour runtime, it was thoroughly entertaining. You know, you got Patrick Stewart playing the performance in this, who did surprisingly pretty good, and I guess that's why the film bombed so heavily at the box office, because it just wasn't marketed correctly. The trailer looked cheesy, and the movie was way better than the trailer actually was. And surprisingly, it was really good. I mean, you got fiery horses, you got really badass villain, especially at the end, and just when you think it's over, which it kind of teases you a little bit, yeah, it's not. You still got the ending climax, which is pretty epic in my opinion. So, if you really thought this movie was going to be bad, trust me, it's way better than you think, and that's why I consider it underrated. Number 9, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Yes, based off the novel series of the same exact name, about kids who, well, find a book and read it, and stuff starts to happen that is in the book. Yeah, the book writes itself. Sounds almost like another familiar movie, doesn't it? No, this is a darker, more badass version of it. Compared to Goosebumps, which I'm not trying to put down or anything, but that's campy in comparison to this one. Guess this movie is questionable for its PG-13 rating, like, why didn't it go for the R rating? Yeah, I thought that too, and I felt a little cheated at first, but as I watched it, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, some of the monsters and stuff were obvious CGI, and there were some gross moments, like with the toe and the spiders coming out of the girl's cheek and everything like that. But, like in the movie, the stories pretty much write themselves, and it could be pretty frightening at some points. I thought the kids did really good. I mean, yeah, we're kind of tired of seeing these, you know, scary movies with kids becoming the heroes and all that nonsense, but it works, trust me. Their performances were really good. Yeah, there's some disgusting moments, especially at the beginning when he fishes a freaking turd out of the toilet. I mean, you can question that. But taking place in the 1960s gives it that nice retro feel to it, like nothing other, you know? It's kind of a little bit of a coming-age type movie, and it works in a way. And again, that's why I consider this one also very underrated. And I'm hoping to see a sequel since, well, it's based off a book series, which kind of leaves itself on a cliffhanger. Not going to give anything away, but just watch it for yourselves and you'll see what I mean. It's good, scary fun. Number 8, Missing Link. Yeah, this was surprisingly a really good animated movie. Yeah, and it bombed at the box office. I'm assuming because, once again, it wasn't marketed very well. And it's by Laika, the same studio that did a lot of great animated movies like Kubo and the Two Strings, Coraline, Paranorman, Box Trolls. I mean, this one was really good. It had some really good voice casting, like from Hugh Jackman, Zach Galifianakis, and Enzo Saldana. I know there's actually another film that has to do with Yetis that came out this year from another studio, but this one I think was badly overlooked. I was thoroughly entertained throughout. I thought the animation that you can expect from the studio was fantastic. I think it was pretty damn good and definitely overlooked, so I know a lot of you didn't see it in theaters, but check it out if you get the chance. It ain't bad at all. Number 7, Ready or Not. Yes, I didn't really know what to expect out of this one. I thought it was going to be a rather generic, dark horror comedy, I should say, about, well, as the trailer showed, a woman marrying into a rich board game inventing family, and, well, they have, like, what turns out to be a ritual where she plays a game of hide and seek that turns out to, well, a turn for the worst, I should say, around their big mansion, and it's just crazy fun. Yes, there's a couple of slow dialogue sequences, but once you get down to the good parts, it's really good. It's dark, it's bloody, it's occasionally scary, and it's funny too. Yeah, there's a couple of funny moments, like when she's in the car and kicks the guy right in the face and everything like that. It's really good. And, well, it's just crazy fun. Who says scary can't be funny, right? You probably already know that. Number 6. Dr. Sleep, yes. Based off of the novel of the same name, which is a sequel to The Shining. Yes, you know, the movie about Jack Nicholson going crazy, and this is about, of course, the kid as an adult. And, well, using his power, and he discovers that other people have the same power as him. Not that same guy from the first movie who got axed to death, and spoiler alert there if you haven't seen that, but I'm sure most of you have seen it. And, well, I like how it flashes back and reminisces of scenes from the first movie, and how he originally was frightened, and how he tries to not become frightened. I like how at the intro he uses that same exact music, which definitely gives that nostalgic feel to it. And, well, he has to stop a cult from taking people that have these powers, and, well, he has to use that power for the greater good and stop these people. It's a lot to take in, and I know you're probably thinking this is a lot to really do for a 2.5 hour runtime, but it pays off though. It definitely works, and I definitely like how it goes back to that original location of the first movie. I mean, it's not a heavy-duty spoiler because you probably saw it in the trailer, but it works out. It's a slow movie at some parts, it's a lot to really follow, but believe me, that's why I consider it underrated. Not as good as It Chapter 2, but believe me, it gets somewhere. Number 5, Midway. Yes, this one came out pretty much the same weekend as Dr. Sleep did, and I was lucky enough to be able to watch this one, and it's a World War II movie. Yes, it's directed by Roland Emmerich, who we know has had a hit-or-miss career with directing movies, and this one surprisingly did really good, even after the mixed to somewhat negative reactions, which I was shocked to hear. Yeah, I know this guy didn't exactly do the best job with most of his films. I mean, I thought The Patriot was pretty good, I liked Independence Day, and this one I think was badly overlooked. You had a lot of big-name actors in this, like Patrick Wilson, Woody Harrelson, and so forth. And what really shines in this movie are the special effects. I mean, it is fantastic. If you haven't seen this in IMAX or Dolby, anywhere with the big surround sound, it's probably coming to Blu-ray soon. Put this in on a big screen TV with the big surround sound. Trust me. I mean, that's what it's all made for. I mean, and then really that's what he's known for doing, is blowing a lot of shit up. And I think the performances were very underrated, so I think this one was overlooked. Give it a shot. It's not nearly as bad as Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. A lot of critics seem to be comparing it to that, but no, it's way better than that. It's definitely underappreciated. Number 4, Elita Battle Angel. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Japanese anime, and I know a lot of American adaptations of Japanese anime films have been, well, real misfires over the past couple of years. They've been frustratingly bad because most of the time they don't pay good enough attention to the source material. They whitewash them or something like that. But even after all the skepticism that most of us had with this movie, with the CGI and the eyes on the character themselves, which seemed a little off-putting, and the delay this movie suffered from, and the director, Robert Rodriguez, who's known for the Spy Kids movies, we were kind of scratching our heads thinking that this was going to kind of flop. But thankfully, it didn't. Okay, it's not A+ good, but this is probably the best American adaptation of Japanese anime that you'll get. The actress who played Elita was great. You got Christopher Waltz, you got Jennifer Connelly. I mean, it's just fun. And yes, there's a couple of slow parts to it. The script and story may be a little muddled. Of course, it's trying to hint a sequel and build up to that. But the action, that's where this film is all at. It was a freaking blast. I saw this in Dolby, and man, it was just fun. I mean, it's just one of those movies that has to be appreciated for those aspects, and it's just a really good time. I mean, Elita was badass for the most part, and thankfully the CGI was not too off-putting for me. And you could tell a lot of it was CG, but it didn't distract too heavily from its enjoyment. So for the most part, give this one a shot. If you were pissed off at the last couple of Japanese anime adaptations in American cinema, believe me, this one turns the tides. Number 3, Annabel Comes Home. Yes, the third Annabel movie, which is, well, about how they bring Annabel home to the Warren's house, and, well, somebody obviously goes into the house of all the cursed artifacts and lets loose, and all hell breaks loose for the most part because of letting Annabelle doll out, which is a conduit of evil spirits. So, yeah, this has been getting kind of a mixed bag, but yeah, it's definitely not as good as Annabelle Creation, but it's definitely better than the first 2014 Annabelle movie. You can question why, of course, it's a different actress playing Judy Warren. Yes, it's the same actress from Gifted, and of course she's going to be in the new Ghostbusters next year, but I think she did a pretty decent job. It revolves mostly around her and her babysitter, and I think it was a pretty good time. And that's why I think it was underrated. Just watch my review on it. It's not the best, but it's definitely far from the worst. Number 2, Zombieland 2 Double Tap. Yeah, I was surprised to hear mixed reactions on this one. And yeah, just watch my review on it. Again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record here on that, but I think this was a really enjoyable time. It knows it's a sequel, it has once again narration, and I know it does recycle a few ideas, but it also brings some new ones in as well. You know, new zombies that are evolving, different classifications of zombies, and it does, of course, recycle the whole, rules to surviving Zombieland scenario, and of course new characters as well. It has plenty of funny moments. Woody Harrelson, he was just as funny as ever, with all his outrageous outbursts and everything like that, and it takes the necessary step into making a really good sequel. A little bit longer than the last one, but I didn't feel bored at all. Great action, great humor, great zombies. And the number 1 movie that I think is the most underrated of 2014, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Yes, the sequel to the 2014 film, which was a breath of fresh air after that disaster that came out in 1998. And, well, it was really good, but it did leave a little to be desired due to Godzilla's lack of screen time. So this film tries to answer back to all those complaints from the fans, which it did give a lot of good action. I mean, that's what it was really there for. Now, the human characters, you got a lot of new faces in this film, as you guessed, and they're not as strong. They just seem like they're there just for the sake of letting the monsters free. So it's not the best well-constructed plot, trying to restore balance with the monsters. It just seems like it's there for the sake of releasing the monsters and, well, duking it out and throwing a lot of kick-ass action in this. Which, yeah, the action's awesome. You could complain, yeah, why do a lot of the fight scenes happen at night? Why do they happen when there's snow falling? Because, well, of course they're in Antarctica. What do you expect it to be down there? Freaking 90 degrees? But the fight scenes are really good. They bring back a lot of the classic monsters. Like Godzilla himself. I mean, it wouldn't be Godzilla without Godzilla. And the three-headed dragon himself, King Ghidorah. And as well as Mothra, Rodan, and so forth. I mean, it's just really fun. The music soundtrack is great. And, it's got that classic Godzilla theme in it at some point. Even the end credits song was really awesome, too. So, yeah. The human characters, again, not as strong. Of course, all you Stranger Things fanboys were crazy to see Millie Bobby Brown in one of the main roles, as well as Vera Farmiga, Al Chandler, and it's got some returning cast members. So, again, not as strong. It's only there for the action. Get a big surround sound TV, put this on. Trust me, it's a kick-ass action movie, and it definitely shows that the King of Monsters is still just as strong, and that's not the end of it right there. We know it's coming next year. So, that's my list right there of what I think are the most underrated films of 2019. Till next time, keep watching.